Thank you very much. It's really, it's kind of hard to see you. It's an honor to be here. I just got in about an hour and a half ago. I'm a little jet lagged, but I'm present. To start things off, what I'd like to do is quickly show you a video. It's a video with some people in it that you'll recognize. I feel a little bit cheesy doing it, but it's so efficient, I can't resist. And it'll make the rest of what I do go a little, move along so we can get in deeper and talk about things sooner. So, here we go. Just 2 minutes.
Determined by the leadership, though. Yes. Yeah. Well, I hear that there are a growing number of producers here on my staff who've become addicted to something they read about in Bill Clinton's new book called Giving. They tell me they're hooked on this website, and so are thousands of others like Ann. Take a look.
20 years ago, Ann Brown was a struggling artist who wanted to start her own handbag business. She just escaped an abusive relationship with nothing but a sewing machine and $40. Then she got the lifeline she desperately needed, a small loan to get started.
It was a very kind neighbor who offered me the money.
You can wear it like
Today,
that.
Ann's homespun business is thriving.
And this one has an 8-inch zipper.
Somebody helped me, and it's my turn to give back.
While listening to the radio, Ann heard about Kiva, a revolutionary idea that uses the power of the internet to allow anybody to make small business loans to men and women in third world countries.
When I heard about Kiva, I immediately connected that this could have been me.
Kiva.org is a simple concept that can change a person's life. Here is how it works. You log onto the website, read about people who want to start a business, and with a few clicks of the mouse, you choose who you want to loan money to. For as little as $25, you can help lift somebody out of poverty.
When I read about Maritza, I connected because I started making sandals when I was in college. She lives in a very poor area in Ecuador and has 2 children to feed. Her story moved me. I just felt this immediate connection with her, and I had to lend to her.
Kiva has thousands of success stories, from a peanut butter stand in Uganda, carpet weavers in Afghanistan, to a fruit vendor in Vietnam.
The fun part is when the loan is paid back. That money is deposited back, and you have Kiva credit, so you can go off and invest in someone else on the site, which I love.
Even though your business partner is halfway around the world, you can check in via email.
Did you purchase the
refrigerator? How has this impacted your ability to produce and market your peanut butter?
You feel as if they're family, and you root for them. You know their names, and they become like these little celebrities in your life.
That is really cool. Listen to this. 99.7% of the loans have been repaid in full. Okay? Matt and Jessica Flannery are the founders of Kiva. They were newlyweds working in East Africa.
And that's my husband, Matt. Hi, Matt. And the rest, I'm here, so I might as well tell you myself. Okay. And so now that I always feel like that's cheating, but she's just so good at it. Now you know what we do. So now you know what we do. I can tell you sort of how it started, how we got to doing this, and sort of the behind the scenes, how it works, and a little bit of where we hope to go. 5 years ago, I heard Muhammad Yunus speak. Muhammad Yunus, probably most people in this room know, but he won the Nobel Peace Prize last year for his work in microfinance. He's sort of seen as the grandfather of modern microfinance. And microfinance, by the way, quick definition, if we think of that as financial products and services targeted to the needs of the poor, the entrepreneurial poor usually, but there's all sorts, there's savings and small loans and insurance and all sorts of products, just like you and I use at our local banks. Microfinance institutions all around the world, there are thousands of these, basically have these products that are a little bit different. They're often more costly to administer and that sort of thing because they're working a lot with hardworking poor individuals in very remote areas, but basically the same sorts of things that you would get at your bank, just tailored for the needs of the poor. Microcredit is a word that I'll also use throughout this, and microcredit is kind of one such product. It's small loans for the poor. On average, all around the world, the average microcredit loan size is around $500. Most microcredit borrowers are women. Repayment rates, that statistic that was just mentioned on the video is actually kind of industry-wide. Repayment rates are incredibly high, and we can talk more about that. But anyway, Muhammad Yunus, I was working at a job that was fine, that I was happy. I was living my days, enjoying my life, but I always wanted to get involved in international development. But I felt sort of unsure how to get involved. And the ways that I tried to figure out how to get involved always seemed a little bit arbitrary to me. You know, what do I do? Spin the globe and put my hand on a country and go? I mean, I felt like I was unsure how me, this kind of random middle-class white girl from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, could get involved. And also, who was I to think that I could go somewhere and help? And I had all these issues. But I heard Muhammad Yunus speak, and it was a full-body experience for me. You know, in my head, I thought, that really makes sense. That makes sense. This works. And the numbers kind of spoke to me. And then in my heart, just careful. In my heart, I also, it really spoke to me too, because he spoke about his experience, his story, and his story of kind of walking out into the villages in Bangladesh where he lived and worked and was a professor, and the way that he saw, person by person, lives change just from a little bit of money exchanging hands. I was a little bit jealous because my co-presenters here have props, so I was going to start this off with, I was going to try to find a prop. So I was going to ask my friend Adrian if he had $20 that he could lend me, and then I would hold it up and say, here's my prop, this is what we do. But the amounts often that exchange hands are very small, and thank you. I do have my $20 later. The amounts that exchange hands are very small, but the impact that money has is often incredibly significant. Anyway, back to my story. I heard Muhammad Yunus speak. I was incredibly inspired. I thought, okay, I want to do this. And a few months later, I quit my job, and as Andrew said, I moved to East Africa. And as much as I was inspired by hearing Muhammad Yunus speak and tell his story, that happened over and over again every day during my time in East Africa. My job was great. I got to go interview entrepreneurs who had received small grants and loans, often just $100. I was in a new village every other day, meeting with goat herders, a lot of farmers, all sorts of rural entrepreneurs. And time again, their stories of success, or maybe not success, but the challenges they were going through, and the fact that they'd been given an opportunity and had done their best with that opportunity, their stories really, really spoke to me and deeply moved me. And I thought, if more people had this experience, and I felt very lucky. I know not everyone does get to go meet people in a very different place than where you're from, but I had that experience, and I thought, if other people knew these stories and could have an interaction face-to-face with some of the people that I'm meeting, and not just hear these big statistics about thousands and millions and billions of people that are living in this type of poverty. But if you take one person, you connect with them, you hear their story, things would be different. The world would be a different place. So that was one of the nuggets that I really held on to during my time there. And luckily, my husband, Matthew, he's really technology focused. Before we got married, we always were concerned because I wanted to go live in Africa and do microfinance, and he wanted to live in Silicon Valley and do technology startups, and we didn't really know how that would work out. But we were in love, and so we got married anyway, and we just hoped it would, and it's a blend of our passions. So I'm going to go to the presentation now a bit. So you basically heard about what we do. Kind of gave you the microfinance 101 piece. Basically, we work with three groups, two very directly. We have lenders, those are some college friends of mine, partner MFIs, microfinance institutions, these organizations that are administering loans, finding borrowers, they're the experts on the ground. We are not. And then those MFIs obviously serve entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs' profiles are posted on the site by the partners. Lenders come, browse the profiles, and choose a person or several people to invest in. Over the course of the loan, which is usually 9-12 months, the entrepreneur repays the partner. I'm not quite sure how much to get into the numbers here, but basically the entrepreneur repays the partner with interest that is fair and makes sense in those economies, and those interest rates are often around 20-30%, but it makes sense, and I'm happy to talk more about that later if that's a question. And then the partners, what we do is we allow those partners to keep all that interest because we feel that we're choosing great partners, and we want to create a marketplace where if they can be more efficient and bring down their cost of capital by using our site, great. If they can serve more people more quickly, great. If they want to invest in technology, whatever they want to do, we trust them. But we allow them to keep that interest, and we just collect the principal back and pass that principal back to the lenders. So if Joe and Laura lend $25, it goes all the way to the borrower, 100% of it. Over time, as the borrower repays, 100% comes back. But it is repaid with interest, and the MFIs get to keep that interest. I'll touch quickly here on how we support ourselves a lot. We're a nonprofit. We could be a for-profit. We made a very conscious decision in the beginning to do that. There's some historical reasons. It was easier to start as a nonprofit, and we felt like it was just a very important thing and a beautiful thing to just start and learn. So that's what we did. So we raise money from foundations and get grants from individuals and that sort of thing. But what's great is right before lenders check out, I mean, imagine you're on eBay and some eBay seller has posted a bike and you want to buy it and you're about to check out. Right as lenders are about to check out, we say, hey, reminder, all your money's coming back, but would you help us pay our rent? And we sort of have a picture of some of our staff in our crumbling office building saying, and we suggest 10% on top of the loan. So most people throw in their minimum $25 and kind of sit back and see if it works and see what we're about. And we say, could you donate $250 on top of that? And so most people do. So we get a large percentage of loan volume, which covers a lot of our basic costs, and then we can fundraise for the really fun things. But that was important to us because in every way where it makes sense, we try to run like a business. 501c3 tax structure, but it's not a religion. We try to do what makes sense to get our work done. Okay. And another thing that was a real value for us, as I said, it's very different to hear statistics, and for me, the statistics I've often heard about poverty are very overwhelming and scary and make me feel paralyzed. But when you focus in on, here's a person, and sure, here are 20,000 people, but here's an individual, here's their story, here's what would help them. For me, that was freeing and empowering and allowed me to act. So I think with a lot of organizations, there's, and understandably, there's a lot of efforts to market, here's someone like Jane, give so that someone like Jane can be helped. Well, what we really are committed to is providing not someone like, but here's Jane, and here's Mary, and here's everyone else in a very specific way so that ostensibly this is the most high engagement and direct way that you can watch your money at work in another individual's life somewhere else in the world. It's important this is a real person, not just someone like. Okay, the three groups we work with. I studied philosophy and poetry undergrad, and then I learned about microfinance, and I realized in Africa, this is still business. I should learn about business. So I just finished my MBA in June, and one thing we talked about there, everything was new to me. We talked about incentives. I thought this was such an interesting concept. And so I'm going to talk about the incentives that make these three groups, lenders, MFI partners, and borrowers, work with us. Why do they bother? Well, for lenders, as I touched on, this is, if you think about, okay, I'm going to be vague on purpose. You have money and you want to do something good with your money. Great. Well, you can donate it and it all goes away. You can invest it, it comes back. You can write your check to the United Way, and that's great, and that goes right into an institution, a traditional charity bubble there. A lot of opportunity to do that. You can also, I remember growing up, my family would do child sponsorship, and I loved that. I loved the picture of a real specific person that our money was supposedly helping. So you can also do a personal donation, right? But what we're trying to do is kind of live in that space where it's a sustainable way to be involved in a very specific manner with an individual. So that's where we live, and that's what we care about. And it's a unique opportunity, I think, for lenders. That's kind of why they get involved. You might be surprised to meet some of our lenders. We have individuals, of course. Most lenders are this type of person, someone who's excited about getting involved and wants to get their get their hands in it and get to know development and participate. So anyway, individuals. We have funds that have kind of moved their operations to our site, which is interesting and was unexpected. I think this is kind of, all of this speaks to, you build a tool and then there's no way to anticipate how the world will use that tool if it functions at all. So it's been really wonderful and humbling to kind of watch this go way beyond our wildest dreams and expectations in terms of what we thought would happen. We also have businesses. We're trying to create some products that are like CSR, corporate social responsibility in a box, so that it's easier for businesses to come on and kind of create a group account and have their employees lend through us. And we also have really kind of this other group of people and institutions that kind of patch together and they make it work for them. We have schools where every child will bring in $1 or $2, and then they choose a business or two to sort of follow throughout the school year. And we love that. Okay, so that's why lenders are involved, lots of different reasons. Microfinance partners. In brief, if I'm going to just really oversimplify. If I'm a microfinance institution in the Congo and I want to serve another 5,000 borrowers this year, that's my goal. Well, I have to get money to do that, obviously. And yes, I think a very good way to do that is work with local capital, take investments from your current borrowers and build slowly. There are a lot of people today that, there's 400 million plus estimated that need these services right now and could be using them. So speed is also a concern. So let's say you source your debt capital from a local bank, and on average that costs these microfinance institutions 10%. With Kiva, it's free. Even setting up, even training their staff or hiring a new person that speaks English and can use the computer, even though we have 300 volunteers that log on from all over the world to our site and translate, so the speaking English part isn't even mandatory. But basically, even with the cost of setting up and working with us, at most, our partners have reported that costs them 1.5% of capital, of the money that we provide for them. So it's a very good financial decision for the MFIs that we work with, and they're able to do more, better, faster. Is there anything else I want to mention here? I think it's interesting that I said there are thousands of MFIs out there. Microfinance is a great investment. There are a lot of commercial investors, institutional capital that is just, they're all fighting to get to the safest investments in the top tier, like the top 200 microfinance institutions that are solid and not very risky, and some are even profitable. But there's this long tail, if you will, of, there's 9,000 some, arguably, other MFIs out there that, and most of them are small and serving, a few hundred or a few thousand people. And a lot of them are doing really good work. They're the Grameen Bank, the organization Mohammed Yunus started. So maybe they were the Grameen Bank of 30 years ago, who knows? But there are good ones out there, and we're trying to create a marketplace where their work can be revealed and they can compete, and we can educate people on what they're doing. So hopefully, over time, the better ones will attract more capital and that sort of thing, and it'll be a good marketplace. But I think it's important to note that we work, we've only been around for 2 years, and way back when we started way back when we started in the early days, a year and a half ago, we were just begging for partners. So we partnered with a lot of organizations that, kind of coming out of the woodwork. And we have a very diversified portfolio now, and we work with the large ones and the small ones, and it's a big mix. And we try to show that to lenders on the site. We have a rating system, and there's a lot to talk about, and I have 2 minutes, so I'm going to fly through this. Okay, we try to make it easy for partners, and again, continue to bring that cost down. And this has been really fascinating. We've gotten grants to do this to make, a lot of the places where we work, internet isn't accessible every day, let alone, electricity may not be. So we're designing offline tools so that they can be really efficient with our interface. We also have sent teams out, design people, what are they called? design teams to basically see what's going on with our partners on the ground and understand their context and understand their limitations, so we can design things better and just really dovetail what our technology is with whatever they're using, their management and information systems. So we're trying to bring that cost down. Here's some of our partners. There's networks, there's individual ones. This was a total startup one where at the beginning, 100% of the capital that they were lending out was coming from borrowers, coming from lenders on Kiva. And then borrowers. I'm just going to introduce you to some borrowers. These are all folks that I've loaned to, and I love them, and I feel like I know them. Some of them I do, some of them I've gotten to meet in person, which has been really special. But this woman is a popcorn seller in Samoa. There's a butcher in Afghanistan. This poor guy, no one wanted to loan to him because I think the picture is kind of freaking people out. And same with this guy, who I think is cool. He's like, standing by his taxi, Bulgarian taxi driver. But when you see a car, and this guy anyway, it took a while for him to get his loan too, but I root for those underdogs. Her loan got raised like this. This beautiful woman with all the fruit. So anyway, she's a vegetables, produce sales in Ghana. And then this is super interesting. This is in and of itself a long conversation, but basically we're working in Iraq as well, and there are issues there. And another conversation, and we have to, we do as much as we can to still make it personal while still obviously protecting the borrower. Okay, and one more thing. Oh gosh, I have to end. What do borrowers get out of this? Well, social capital sort of holds together a lot of lending groups internationally anyway. Ideally, wouldn't it be great if each borrower knew, wow, there are people on the other side of the world that are thinking about me, know me, are thinking about me in a way that is based on partnership and dignity in a business relationship and not donor-beneficiary, and are cheering me on and I'm accountable to. So I think that's actually one of the most important pieces we do. If we can change the way that borrowers think about the rest of the world out there, and if we can change the way that lenders think about and interact with people on the other side of the world, I think that's a great thing. And I'm glad we're done, because these are just like the bragging slides, it's been successful, yay, we have 13 million in loans, 103,000 lenders, 20,000 entrepreneurs, okay. A lot of great corporate partnerships, we're proud of that. A lot of pioneering ones. We're the first and only, I think, nonprofit to get free PayPal processing, so that's huge on our costs. We're on to these countries, we've had a lot of press, and we connect real people to each other. Thank you.